Hello, my name is Trisha Gutierrez, and the topic that I decided to explore was the options that infertile couples have in regards to reproduction or, having kids, whether it be adopting them. And my main source of information was the textbook, but I also was able to find a supplemental resource online with a little bit more information. And I did find that about 10 to 15% of couples in the US do suffer from infertility, and of those couples, 40,000 try the high-tech assisted route in regards to reproduction. And when they go that route, their options are surgery, hormone-based drugs, and in vitro fertilization. Some questions that people do have are there any negative effects to these options, such as in vitro fertilization? But according to research that has been done so far, there are no negative effects and developmental outcomes for in vitro children, but a little bit more research does need to be done before anything conclusive can be determined in that area. One point that should be pointed out is that with fertility drugs and in vitro, there is a higher chance of miscarriage as well as multiple births. And when you're dealing with multiple births, there are risks associated with that as well in regards to premature birth as well as low birth weights. So those are some things that couples have to consider when they're making these decisions in what is best for them and what they feel is safest. Another option that they do have is adoption. They don't have to go through the technological route. And when children are adopted earlier in life, they are more likely to have positive outcomes, and a majority of adopted children do adjust effectively. So, if any couples have worries about how their children are gonna adjust because of the fact that they are adopted, they don't necessarily have to worry about them being socially withdrawn, and they do actually tend to engage in more pro-social behavior as well. And some problems that can arise is if during infancy, children, if they get the feeling that their parents didn't resolve their issues with their fertility, they may have attachment issues, and that wouldn't be reflected on the children. Unfortunately, that would be the parents because they may be adopted too early. And with adopted children, it is best to let them know that they are adopted if they start asking questions in early childhood, because that's not something that you want to hide from them, because it could have psychological ramifications later on down the line if they find out. And in their search for their identity during adolescence, adoptive children may have mixed feelings about their adoptive status, but it's just best for parents to be there and support their children when they're trying to discover who they are as teenagers and adults. And adoptive children are also more likely to experience social, psychological, and school-related problems, and they also have more behavior problems, and those are things that need to be considered by parents that are considering adoption. But one thing that has been shown is that the antisocial behavior is the same as non-adopted children, and their self-esteem is the same as well, so they don't seem to have any problems in that regard. And this concept was interesting to me in general because I myself would consider adoption, and even if without fertility problems, I would still consider adopting, because I feel that you can help a child who might be stuck in a bad situation. And it's up to everybody to decide for themselves their options, and they have to weigh the risks and consider what could happen down the line, how they're going to handle the situation. But this is up to couples who might be having fertility problems to consider. But that's why I chose this concept, because it was really interesting to me that there are so many options out there for infertile couples if they are having problems conceiving.